Pre-K Discovery with Miss Barb. How are you today? I'm so excited. We have a great story ahead. But let's start with the good morning song. So here we go. Oh, the duck says quack and the cow says moo. The old red rooster says cock-a-doodle-doo. The sheep says ba and the cat says meow. But I say good morning when I see you. Nice. Well done. What a great way to start. All right, so let's get into our calendar today because that's how I always like to start Pre-K Discoveries, with our calendar. You can see that it's the month of July. And how do I know that? Well, one, my calendar tells me it's the month of July. And did you know that I know the months of the year song? And do you remember the months of the year song? Here it goes. Ready? I'm going to sing it first, and then we're going to sing it together. Ready? So it goes like this. January, February, March and April, May, June, July and August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. All right. Do you think you can sing it with me? I think you can. All right, here we go. January, February, March and April, May, June, July and August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. And did you know that there's 12 months of the year? If you were paying attention when we were singing that song, you would know that there was 12. So this is the month of July, and July is number 7. So let's spell July. J-U-L-Y. July. And July is a summer month, and today might be a sunny day, or it might not be a sunny day. I don't know what it's like outside because where I'm sitting at, I can't see the windows. So anyway, that is the month that we are in, July. So let's talk about the days of the week. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Today is Wednesday. And do you know why I know that? Because I know the song, the Days of the Week song. Should we clap or should we snap today? I think we should snap, all right? So let's practice. Let me see you snap. Good job. All right, here we go. Days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week. Well, there's Sunday and there's Monday, there's Tuesday and there's Wednesday, there's Thursday and there's Friday, and then there's Saturday, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week. Very good. And what day did Miss Barb say today was? Well, she knows that today is Wednesday because it says that this is today. So let's count together and see what number we're on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And today's the 22nd. So it is July 22nd, 2020, and today is Wednesday. So that's our calendar for today. And if your birthday is in July, happy birthday to you. You got a summer month. I bet you get to have a party outside. All right, so who's ready for our letter of the day? Our letter of the day today is the letter S. And the letter S is a curvy letter that goes like this. So it's really smooth. And as I was telling you, it says S. So let's look at our pictures today with our words for our letter of the day. All right. So our first one is the sun. S-U-N, sun. And this is what the sun looks like when you see it in space. The sun. It's very hot. My next word is the word snail. Snail. S-N-A-I-L, snail. And he's a brownish colored snail. And there he is. This next one is not Miss Barb's favorite picture, but I had to do it because it starts with the letter S. And sometimes it even makes the S sound. A snake. Snake. S-N-A-K-E, snake, and he's a slithery snake, huh? So, all of these pictures so far are things that you find outside. The sun, a snail, and a snake, and you might find them in your garden, and the sun helps things grow. So our last word of the day is a clue as to what our story is going to be today. And this is the word seed, S-E-E-D. And these are a whole bunch of different kinds of seeds. And seeds kind of look like beans, don't they? Because some of the beans that we eat are actually the seeds of a plant. And we're going to talk more about seeds after we read the story. And our story today is Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack and the Beanstalk. I'm not going to start by saying that Jack was lazy. When there was an adventure in the offing, he was not lazy at all. But most of the time, he just did a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Jack lived with his mom and Daisy the cow in a tumble-down farmhouse in a little way out of town. Jack's mom liked to do just a little bit of this and a little bit of that as well. They didn't have very much money, but they didn't care much. Then one day there was nothing left to eat, not even a crust of old bread, and no money left either to buy anything. "It's no good, Jack," said his mom. "We'll have to sell poor old Daisy. You had better get up early tomorrow morning and take her to market. Make sure you get a good price for her." Jack knew better than to argue. Besides, he was very hungry. So the next day he got up at sunrise and set off down the lane with Daisy in tow. He had not gone far when he came around a corner and bumped into a funny little man. The man was wearing a big baggy jacket with big baggy pockets. "Good morning to you," said the man. "That's a nice looking cow you have there. Fancy doing a swap for her?" Jack remembered what his mom had told him. So he asked, "What will you give me in exchange?" "These," declared the funny little man. And plunging into a hand, deep into one of his pockets, he pulled out 6 plump beans. "Those?" asked Jack. "Yes," said the funny little man, "these. Don't think these are just ordinary beans. Oh, no, these are magic beans. But you will have to be careful with them. I've lost the instructions for them, so I'm not really sure what they do." Well, there was nothing Jack loved better than magic, so he handed over Daisy, took the beans, and he hurried home. As soon as Jack reached the back door, he burst into the kitchen and proudly threw the beans down on the table. "What's this?" exclaimed his mom. "Oh dear," thought Jack. "They're magic beans, Mom. I swapped them for Daisy. At least I've got something to eat. Well, we will have when they've grown." Jack's mom was furious. She went white in the face and shouted and stamped, and she threw open the window and flung the beans outside. That night, Jack and his mom went to bed feeling miserable and hungry. But in the garden, things began to happen. The beans slipped down through the cracks and into the ground, and their roots wriggled deep into the earth, and the shoots pushed upward, and they burst through the hard crust of the soil, and twisting and tangling together, they grew high into the sky, and they kept growing and growing until they reached the land of clouds. Then a long, wiry tendril reached down to the house and tapped on Jack's window. "Who's that?" Jack yawned. He saw strange shadows in the moonlit window, and not sure whether this was a dream or a real adventure, he padded across the room and drew back his curtains. There, bending and swaying in the moonlight, was the most enormous beanstalk he had ever seen. "I wonder where the top of it goes," Jack said to himself. There was only one way to find out. Without stopping to think, he clambered over the window sill and started to climb. Soon the house was just a tiny dot far below. He made himself his way upward.
He finally reached the land of clouds and stepped off of the beanstalk into a gray, fluffy ground. And in the distance, he could see a huge castle. Jack walked straight up to it and knocked on the door, and he heard the clank of keys turning and the rumble of bars being slid back and the rattle of chains being unfastened. And then at last the huge door creaked open a crack, and a little old woman peering out of him with a candle. "You can't come in here," she whispered. "He'll be back soon." "Go away!" "Please," Jack begged. "I'm a stranger here and I'm starving hungry. Can't I just pop in for something quick to eat?" The woman looked at him more closely and saw that he was a nice-looking lad with a ready smile. "Well, very well. You can come in for a minute," she said, "but don't let him catch sight of you." "Who's he?" asked Jack as they made their way along the dusty castle corridor to the big kitchen. Lining the walls were mounds of huge bulging sacks which jingled as Jack brushed past them. "The giant, of course. If he catches you, he'll eat you for sure. He's got a foul temper, and you better keep out of his way. Hide among the sacks if you hear him coming." Just then, she finished speaking, and there was a crashing of footsteps outside the room, and Jack only just managed to hide behind the sacks. When the door burst open, in burst a giant. "Fee, fi, fo, fum! I smell the blood of a stinky man. Where is he, woman? Where are you hiding him?" The giant sniffled his way around the house, around the room, until he came to close where Jack was hiding. "Oh, don't be silly," said the little old woman. "All you can smell is the stew I made. I was trying a bowl of it to make sure it was good enough for you. Would you like some?" Soon the giant had slurped his way through an enormous bowl of stew, and he belched loudly, then demanded, "Grab me my goose. I want some more gold." The old woman slipped out of the room and was back cradling a large, gloomy-looking bird in her arms. Peeping out from his hiding place, Jack watched as the goose began to lay eggs, each one made of pure gold. As each egg appeared, the giant put it into a giant egg box, and then he demanded, "Now fetch me my harp. I want some music." Once again, the woman bustled out of the room and came back holding an exquisite harp made of pure gold. Even the strings were golden. "Play, harp, play!" shouted the giant, and as if by magic the room was filled with the most beautiful, gentle music as the strings began to vibrate all by themselves. Soon the giant fell asleep, and was snuffling and snoring echoed around the room. Jack crept out from his hiding place and began to drag one of the bulging sacks of gold coins across the kitchen. It was very heavy, and it jingled as he pulled it. But the giant did not stir. Jack heaved and he dragged the sack right out of the castle, across the cloud, and back to the top of the beanstalk. The sack was too heavy for him to carry any further, so he left it there and slid down quickly. When Jack reached home, he found his mother staring at the beanstalk, scratching her head. "Rope!" cried Jack as he sprung to the ground. He ran off to the shed and came back a few minutes later with great coils wrapped around him, and then he sat up back against the beanstalk. After a while, he felt the rope become loose, and he knew that the sack had reached the ground and that his mother had untied it. At the top of the beanstalk, Jack tied one end of the rope to the stem and the other end to the sack of gold, and then he started to lower the sack. I read that wrong. Jack headed back to the kitchen to fetch another sack. As he crept across past the giant and the goose looked up hopefully and whispered, "Can I come too? I hate it up here." "You wouldn't need to take the sack then. You could just lay as many golden eggs as you want." So Jack picked her up and ran out of the room, and in the corridor he bumped into the old woman. "Can I come with you, well?" she asked. "Of course," said Jack. "Here, you take the goose and I'll go back for the harp." But as Jack picked up the harp, it suddenly cried out, "What's going on here? Who are you? Help, help!" Jack raced out of the kitchen just as the giant woke up and saw what was happening and began to give chase. Faster and faster Jack ran, and closer came the giant. As he reached the top of the beanstalk, Jack could feel the hand on his neck. "Quick!" he shouted. The old woman started slithering down with the goose, and Jack slithered down with her with the harp. They could hear the giant shouting and swearing as he tried to follow them. with the beanstalk bent and swayed wildly, first to the left and to the right, but the old woman and Jack reached the ground. Jack grabbed the rope, and he pulled the beanstalk until he could see the giant hanging off for dear life glaring down at him, and then he let go. Boing! The beanstalk shot up like an enormous catapult, unable to hold on any longer, and the giant flew off, and he soared away into space and was never seen again. And he's there, as far as I know, he's still. The old woman went inside to make a pot of tea, and Mom put the golden harp on the table, and Jack made the magic goose a special hut. He put the sack of gold in the cellar and took out the coins, and whenever he needed to buy something. And the last time I went to visit, the harp played jigs and reels, and so we all had a merry dance. The end.
What a good story Jack and the Beanstalk is. Is there a lesson to be learned in that? I think so. Never buy magic beans because they're going to get you in a whole lot of trouble. So let's talk about beans. So how many of you like to eat green beans? I like green beans a lot. But did you ever wonder how the green beans get to the grocery store? Well, they start out as seeds. And our letter of the day was the letter S. So we're going to look at this story called A Seed Grows. And we're going to learn about how it starts from a seed and it becomes a plant. And then I'm going to show you a cool experiment that you can do at home. So a seed grows. It says this is the seed that Sam planted. And you can see the tiny little seed that he planted. It says this is the stem that grew from the seed that Sam planted. And look at those stems that are growing. I wonder what kind of seed he planted. We're going to find out. It says this is the flower that bloomed on the stem that grew from the seed that Sam planted. I don't know, Miss Barb can tell by looking at these flowers what kind of seed Sam grew. This is the bee that drank from the flower that bloomed on the stem that grew from the seed that Sam planted. And bees are very, very important. They're pollinators, and they help pollinate the plants. This is the pollen that was left by the bee that drank from the flower that bloomed on the stem that grew from the seed that Sam planted. There's the pollen. It says this is the fruit that was made by the pollen that was left by the bee that drank from the flower that bloomed on the stem that grew from the seed that Sam planted. And what did Sam grow? It looks to me like he grew a watermelon. I love watermelon. They're so sweet and delicious. It says these are the new seeds that formed in the fruit that was made with the pollen that was left by the bee that drank from the flower that bloomed on the stem that grew from the seed that Sam planted. And look at everybody's going to have a slice of watermelon. Looks delicious. And that is what everybody says yum. And that is what happens when you plant a seed. Something grows. All right. So that was our book, A Seed Grows. So Miss Barb has this really cool experiment that you can try at home too. The first thing you need are some seeds. And I have some seeds here in my hand. Can you see my seeds? It says that these are some sort of sunflower seeds, but I don't know for sure. So I have my seeds. And some seeds look like this. This is some bird seed that I found. And these are seeds also. They're smaller seeds. I'm not going to plant those. All right. So, I get a baggie. Does everyone have one of these baggies at home? I'm sure in the drawer in your kitchen there's a baggie. So that's what you need is a bag and your seeds. And you need some paper towels. So here's my paper towels. And I'm going to fold them up so that my paper towels will fit in my bag. So I'm going to fold them up small because I want them to fit down inside the bag. So there I folded it up and I'm going to put it in my bag. Let me open the bag first. I'm going to open the bag and I'll put it down inside of there. Okay, so now I have my paper towel in my bag. So I need to add my seeds. So I'm going to grab some seeds out of here. Okay, and I'm going to put my seeds in here. You'll be able to see the seeds better now. So look. There's my seeds in the bag. All right, So what are some of the things that seeds need to grow? Well, they need sunlight, they need water, and then I have them in this bag. So I have water in this bottle, and I'm going to spray it in the bottle, and I'm going to wet the paper towel. But I'm not going to make the paper towel dripping wet. I want to make it moist. And I'm going to spray it in there. My paper towel's getting wet. It might need to be a little wetter. Alright, I'm going to do that. Make my seeds stick up on the paper towel. Okay. Like this. Let me show you in 1 second. Alright, I'm going to seal it up. Just like that. So those are my seeds, my paper towel, and my little bag. Now, what would I do with this so it can get sun? Hang it in the window, you say. That's a very good idea. I'm going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to hang it in the window so it gets some sunlight, and I'm going to wait and see if my seeds grow. And that is my experiment for the day. We're going to practice growing seeds. So if you have some seeds at home, and sometimes you can save seeds. Did you ever eat a piece of fruit that has seeds in it? Well, if you eat a piece of fruit that has seeds in it, Miss Barb wants you to save those seeds, and I want you to try this experiment at home. So that is our lesson for today. We read Jack and the Beanstalk, where he bought some magic beans, and they grew into that beanstalk, and he was chased by that giant. And we talked about a seed grows, and that was our second book of the day. And our letter today was the letter S. And you remember the S goes like this. It curves around. And what does it say? S. Very good. So let's say goodbye. So here we go. Goodbye, goodbye, see you soon, but not until we sing this tune. We must part and we must go, but I'll be back to say hello. So I will see you guys later, alligator, and after a while, crocodile. And join me again for another pre-K discovery. Goodbye, everybody.